Hello friends, my name is Sarang. So today we'll learn about Spring for GraphQL. So this is the official documentation of the Spring for GraphQL. And the GraphQL has been finally integrated with the Spring latest version 2.7.0. They have introduced a new starter, which is a Spring Boot Starter GraphQL. Okay, so this Spring for GraphQL actually replaces the GraphQL Java Spring that we used to create or we use in a project to create the GraphQL servers. Okay, so if you can go to the Spring initializer, there is a Spring for GraphQL starter has been added officially in the 2.7.0 version of Spring Boot. Okay, so in this video, I'll be showing you a demo of a Spring for GraphQL. Okay, I'll be creating a project, okay, which will have the Spring for GraphQL, reactive web, and the Spring Data R2 DBC for communicating reactively with the database, and I will use the H2 database and for sure Lombok. Okay, so I have already added this project in my IntelliJ. Okay, so I will quickly show you the pom.xml. Okay, so these are the dependency you can see that I was showing in the Spring Initializer. Okay, so this is the starter that we need to add if we want to use a Spring for GraphQL. Okay, if you look into the starter, okay, it is nothing but a wrapper around the Spring GraphQL that we use to uh, have in our project to create the GraphQL servers. Okay, so that starter is also having the GraphQL Java. Okay, so at the very low level, they use a GraphQL Java dependency. Okay, so now let's get started. So if you want to create any GraphQL project, the first thing that we need to do is we go to the resources and we'll create a schema file. Okay, under GraphQL directory. So I'll create that. Okay, I will keep the name of the schema file as schema.graphqls. Okay, so now I will create the types and inputs. So the first type I will write as an employee. The employee will have ID, which is of type ID, name, string, salary, again string, and department ID, that would be int. Okay, no, so again this would be an ID. Okay, and now I will add a type of department. So department will have again ID as a unique identifier of a department and the name of the department, and the department will have many employees, so it's like a one to many relationship. Okay, so these are the two types. Okay, so now I will write queries for that. So in the query, what I'm going to do is I will fetch employee by their name by providing name in the argument. Okay, it will be of type string since there is a possibility that the employees would be many with the same name. So I will just return the array of employees. Okay, and then I'll also create a query for all department, which will return the array of department. Okay, so now I will also create of a type mutation. Okay, so this will add the employee and I will pass the argument as add employee input, which will be of type add employee input. Okay, and here I will return the employee in the response. Okay, I will create a separate type for this, and this will be of type input. Okay, so here I will copy it name, and in the add employee input, what I'm gonna add is the name of the employee, the salary the employee holds, and the department ID. So to add an employee, all that you need is the name of the employee, salary, and the department ID. So that's what I've created a separate type for that, and it will be of type input. Okay, and also using mutation, we can also update the salary of the user. So I will write update salary input, update salary input, and I will return the employee after updating the salary of the employee. I'll give the latest employer details. Okay, so let's again create an input for this. Sorry, here. Okay, for updating the salary, we would need the employee ID, okay, which is mandatory. So I'll writing an exclamation mark here. It should not be a null, so that's the reason. And the salary of the employee, again, this should not be null. Okay, so we have written a query and mutations. In the query, we will fetch the employee by name and we'll fetch all the departments. In the mutation, we will add the employees and update the salary. Okay, we'll also do the subscription. In the subscription, what I'm gonna do is I will give all the employees in a real time. Okay, so while doing a subscription, you don't have to, since you're gonna in the real time you're gonna give so many employees. Okay, you don't need to have the arrays of employees. Okay, it should be only employee because you're gonna send multiple employees in a response. Okay, so no need to have array. It will be a different response for each employee. So make sure in the subscription you never do or never pass an array. If it's required, you can in a single response. If you want to provide so many employees, you can have it array, or in a different response if you want to pass on the different employees, you have to write it a single, not in array. Okay, so I think the schema is is very much straightforward. Okay, so let's go to the class. So I will first create the data objects of all the types that I have written over here. So there are two types and this there are two inputs. For that, I have to create a corresponding classes. Okay, so I'll go here. I have a lombok, so I will use the annotations for that. I'll use annotations and now it's not getting loaded. Just a second. Okay, so I wanted to add a no argument constructor here and all argument constructor. Okay, that's cool. So since I have added R2DBC, so we will use the annotation ID, okay, here, and which will be of type integer, and I will add the name of the employee, name and salary of the same type. So I will write it like, so I'll write like this, and of course I have to add the department ID. Okay, department ID. Okay, it should be E here. Okay, so I'll now create for the department as well. The annotations would be same. Okay, so now the department have again ID, so I'll copy it from here quickly. Okay, and it will have name as well and a list of employee. Okay, so now we have completed two types. Let's create the class for add employee input. Okay, the add employee input had a name, salary, and department ID. Okay, so let's copy it from here. I think this is the same fields. Okay, now let's create it for update salary input. Again, use the same annotations. Okay, so it had a employee ID and the salary of the employee that we need to update. Okay, so I'll correct this one. I will format this. Okay, it's complaining. I think the spelling is right. Okay, it should be capital I. Okay, so we are fine with this the data objects that we have created here. Okay, now let's create the repository for employee and department. Since we have also added the persistence here, we're gonna add the persistence and we're gonna add the data into the database and also fetch it when required. So let's create interface of employee repository and extend that with the reactive CRUD repository. Okay, the entity would be employee and the type of ID would be integer. Okay, let me create it for department as well. Since there are two entities, so we have created the corresponding repositories for them. Okay, I think this is fine. Now let's create the controller, GraphQL controller. Okay, class GraphQL controller. Okay, you can give any name you want. I have just written GraphQL controller. I would require SLF4J, SLF4J. Okay, keep this as capital. Okay, so here in the GraphQL controller, we will try to add the annotations of GraphQL and query mapping, mutation mapping, schema mapping. All these annotations will use to we will use to to fetch something from database or to add something in a database. Okay, so I would require the repository for that, employee repository. I will inject those fast. Department, it's a repository. Let's quickly add the constructor for that. Constructor. Okay, they have been added here. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna look is we're gonna add the employee into the database. So anything that we add it or update, it's of type mutation. So what I'm gonna do is let's add the logic of adding the employee. So I'll write public will return the mono, since it's a reactive, so we have to return the mono of employee. Add employee. Okay, and if you know at the argument we have to pass the argument as add employee input, which will be of type add employee input. Okay, so we have used at the rate argument annotation to accept the parameters that we're going to provide while while calling this add employee mutation. Okay, so what you can do is here just return this dot employee repository dot save. Okay, and add employee input dot, oh, since we have to add the employee. Okay, so let's create a mapping for that quickly. Add employee input, we'll provide add employee input and we have to return the employee. Okay, so this is have to import the function. Okay, let's create the object of employee first. New employee. Okay, employee dot set name ei dot get name. We will also add the employee dot set salary dot get salary. Okay, employee dot set department ID AEI dot AEI dot get department ID. Okay, and return the employee. Okay, so we will use this mapping dot apply and pass the add employee input here. Okay, so now we have created a logic that how to save the employee into a database using the employee repository. Okay, so now since we're gonna uh, call this method, okay, it won't be called directly. Okay, so since we have used the mutation here, so what we're gonna do is we will use a schema mapping. Okay, the type name would be mutation. Okay, and the field would be add employee. Okay, so what we have done is we have used a schema mapping annotation which is coming from the Spring Framework GraphQL data, which is it's coming from the Spring for GraphQL starter. Okay, here we have to pass the type name as mutation and what field that you need to resolve here. So that we have added here add employee. Okay, so this can be written in a very good way, okay, in a very short way, sorry. So we will comment this, okay. We can directly add mutation mapping annotation. Okay, so this mutation mapping annotation is nothing but a composite annotation, okay. It internally it uses a schema mapping only. Okay, so it's good to use this one rather than using this one because you have to provide arguments here. Okay, and make sure when you're using mutation mapping, okay, this should be same. The method name and the one that you need to resolve, okay, should have the same uh, name. Okay, so since add employee here, this is also add employee here. Okay, so that's why. So if we query if we do a mutation for add employee, so the name of the mutation here add employee will get mapped with the method name. So make sure it should be same. Okay, I'll remove this one because we'll use the short one. Okay, so we have created a mutation first, a GraphQL. We have created a GraphQL server with the one mutation. Okay, so this is how you can create for query and all the subscriptions here. So we will quickly develop it for all the other one as well quickly. So the next one we will do it is a query mapping. Okay, here we will provide uh, employee. Okay, employee by name. Since you know there is one query employee by name, so this is what we'll write here. So you can test this using a GraphQL UI. That will do it after I complete this query one. Okay, I will write argument string employee name. Okay, just return this dot employee repository dot. Okay, so we have to create a our own method here, flux employee. Okay, get employee by name and we'll provide the name here. Okay, so write it here like this, and now we can write get employee by name and just pass the employee name. Okay, so let's test this to mutation and the query thing. Okay, so the one thing that I need to do is I need to enable the GraphQL uh, UI here, GraphQL enabled equal to true. Okay, GraphQL enabled equal to true. It should be like this. Okay, let's start the application. Still, we need to develop all department query, update salary. Okay, we'll do it quickly after we test this two things that we have developed. Okay, we can use the browser localhost 8080. Okay, it should be GraphQL. Okay, so let's wait for the application to start. Okay, hang on. So before starting the application, I need to first add the data into database. So since it's a H2, so I have to, add data when the application starts or boots up. So I'll quickly do that. Schema.sql and I have to add data.sql. Okay, so I'll quickly create the schema dot add the content in it. So create table department. Okay, ID serial should be a primary key, and that should be a name of type varchar 255 and should be not null. Okay, let's create employee table as well. Okay, since we are using R2DBC, so there is no hibernate. So all the tables we have to create prior to the application. Varchar 255 not null and salary again varchar 255 not null and right department ID small int not null. Okay, we have used, I will use the underscore. So here what I will do is I'll go to the employee here and add the alias for that. Okay, make sure it should be in double quotes. Okay, schema has been created. That means when we bootstrap the application, these two tables will be created. Now let's add the data. Okay, so insert into only the department data we will add. The employee data we will add from the GraphQL UI. Name, values. Let's create a software department. Okay, so let me quickly create the same thing. Let's add some department that I remember when I was doing engineering. Electronics, and one more. Let's add a management. Okay, I think we are good. We have created a schema.sql and data.sql file which will get activated when we bootstrap the application. So we have only added the department detail. Okay, and we will add the employee detail and we will add it using this method. Okay, and let's start the application quickly. So I think this one is nothing but disable inspection. Okay, the application is about to start. Let's close all these files that is not required. Okay. Oh, there is a issue here. The column software not found. What is the problem here? Oh, hang on. It should be a single quotes. It should not be double quotes. Sorry. So make sure everything here should be single quotes. Okay. Let's start the application again. Hope so it will not throw any errors now. Let's see. Okay, it should be employee name. Let's see. Okay, so the endpoint has been exposed at /GraphQL and it has been started at 8080. Let's start the GraphQL UI. We don't require this. Let's go to docs and see here it is, these docs are very helpful. Okay, so add employee here we have written the logic for add employee. So we'll use this, and we have added okay, the spelling is wrong here. So let me quickly rerun this. I have just now edited here. Okay, I have clicked on rerun, so application will start again. Make sure you code along with me so that you can understand each steps that I am doing here. So consider this as a crash course and for Spring for GraphQL, so which will be very useful in the future because no one is going to use GraphQL Java uh, in the projects now. They will use this one because it's a very good wrapper. So all things it's now annotation based. If you want to uh, do anything with mutation, just add this annotation. If you don't want to do anything with query, you just add this annotation. Okay, so let me go to query. Now it's proper. Mutation is also good. Okay, now let's uh, send the data. Add employee. Okay, add employee here. I have to write, I believe what the fields are name and salary and department ID. Sarang, I think there should not be a double quotes here. Okay, and also this, okay, it should be like this. And salary I'll just write 123 department ID. So I'll just pass one. Okay. So my name's Sarang, having salary 123. It's belong to department ID 1, which is software. All right. And I want in return ID, name, and salary. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I got those only. Let's add department ID as well. So we'll get the department ID in response now. Okay, cool. So we have successfully set up the GraphQL server with add employee mutation. Okay, let's test the query as well. Now we will write a query for employee by name. Okay, I'll pass on the employee name, Sarang that I have just added. Okay, I need name and again salary. Okay, let's check. Oh, cool. So let's see. Did I add two people here? Yeah, I added two times the same data. So we got two employees here. Okay, let me add one more. Okay, now I added dev problems. Uh, okay, I added a new employee. So I'll query the same. Okay, there is only one employee with the name dev problems. Okay, so you can see that it is working properly. Okay, we have written mutation and query mapping for two things. Okay, let's close this server and let's complete the other query mutations that we need to complete. Okay, now let's write it for the update salary. If the user wants to update the salary, then how we can do it in the server side is this will be a mutation mapping. Will return mono of employee. Okay, update salary argument. We will pass the update salary input object, and then here we'll write the logic for updating the salary of the user. Employee repository. First we'll find the user by ID. Okay, update salary input dot get employee ID, and then we'll do a flat map which will give us the employee that has come from the database, and we will set the salary of the employee with the updated one dot get salary, and then we will add that updated data of that employee into the database repository dot save employee. Okay. Okay, I think this is fine. So we have written a logic for updating the salary of employee. Okay, so now we'll quickly will not test it. Okay, we'll quickly develop logic for now. What I think this is pending for query all department. Okay, so let's add a logic for that query mapping. Okay, so we'll write a public. This will be little challenging to get all the departments. Okay, so the first thing is I have added few dummy departments. When the application starts up, these things get saved into H2. Okay, so now if you can remember here in the schema that we in the department we have many employees, so it is of type array. Okay, the employee detail is coming from different table, and the department information is coming from the department table. Okay, so now to do this in a GraphQL way will be a little different. So let's see that. So we'll return many or all the departments. Make sure this the name should be same and the method name should be same. Okay, and what we're gonna do is we'll return this dot department repository dot find all. Okay, it will give us all the departments, but one thing is it will only give us all the department. It will not give the employees. Okay, so we will quickly test this logic. Okay, so I'll start the application. We will test two things that we have written here. So let's first check the update salary, and then we'll check the all department. Okay, let's see. And whenever you start the application, make sure to reload this UI, because it will not uh, show the data according to the new changes. Okay, the application has been started. I'll reload this thing. Okay, I will quickly add one user, dev problems. Okay, the user has been added. Now let's see whether this user is, can we fetch this user by name? Yeah, we can. Now let's update the salary of this user. A mutation update salary. So let's see what we need here. Update salary input. And here, I think let's go to the mutation thing. We need employee ID and salary. Okay, let's add employee ID. I think the employee ID of that problem, yeah, it's one. Okay, and the salary I will just write 456. It was 123 previously, and I would name the name details updated salary of that employee. Okay, yeah. See, the updated data has been sent in the request. It was 12 when we added. It was 123. Now it is 456. Let's again check that using that query. Okay, we are right. It's 456. Okay, so we have done the updation successfully. Now let's do the one more query, that is all department. Okay, I think it doesn't require any arguments. Let's quickly check. Query all department. No, it doesn't need anything. So department has a ID, name, and employees. Okay, so for each employee, I need ID, name, just ID, name for now. Okay, so see here. I have, if you can see, the employees are empty here. There is an empty. We got all the departments. Okay, if you can remember that we added all this department when we bootstrap this application. We have added in the database H2 in. Okay, so we got all the department, but we haven't got any employee that is associated with that department. Okay, so if you remember, I have added dev problem user, okay, or employee into a department ID 1. So here in this array, there should be one employee with the name dev problems, but there is no employee here. And the reason being is we haven't write the logic, or we haven't conveyed to the GraphQL that how to fetch the employee which is present in the particular department. Okay, so that logic we need to write explicitly. Okay, so let's write that. Okay, so let's write using we'll use a schema mapping. Okay, we'll write a type name. So schema mapping is it's very handy to resolve any field. So I'll show you. So it is a query, and sorry, the type name should be department here, because we need to resolve the field of department, and the field is nothing but employees. Okay, this is weird. It should be only value, and this should be, oh sorry, it should not be double quotes. Okay, so let's write the logic of that. Okay, so we'll write flux of employees, and employees here. Okay, department, and this thing is uh, a little change here. I will show what will happen. I'll just log the department ID. Let's not log now. Let's return the particular employee from the repository. Okay, we need to fetch the employee with the department ID. Okay, so let's write the custom method here. Let's create the custom method. Get, I think it should be get all, right? So I'll just change with the get all, or there should be only one employee. Get employee by, yeah, it should be get employee by department ID. Okay, I will pass the integer as department ID. Okay, so we will get all the hang on for a second. We'll get we'll get the employees that is also which is present in a particular department. Get employee department dot get ID. Okay, so now what would happen is first we will get all the department from this particular method, and then the GraphQL or the data fetcher will look into the schema mapping and will see that in the department, for the employee field, we have written a different logic. So what will happen is the data fetcher will call, or the GraphQL will, the Spring will invoke this method, okay, to resolve this field called employees. Okay, we'll also write a log here to check the which department is currently here. Is currently for which department this method has been invoked. So department ID, we'll write this department dot get ID. Okay, so let's see that in action. So I will do this. But I believe this should be get all, right? Because we will fetch all the employees by their department ID, right? So this should be get all, and this is get all employee by department ID. Okay. Yeah, let's start the application. Okay. Okay, there is some unknown errors here which I'm not aware about. Terminate this. Let's start a new one. Okay, the application has been started. So let's reload the GraphQL UI. So let me first add the employee into a department one. Okay, so let me add this. Okay, I've added. Now let's again call the get all department. Okay, so now you can see in the employees we got one employee, which is dev problem, the employee that we have just recently added. Okay, but see here, this method has been invoked 6 times, and the reason being it's invoked 6 times is when we called this method, it returned six different department. Okay, and because in the database there were 6 different departments. Okay, and for each department, okay, this method has been invoked. There are six, so 6 times this method has been invoked to resolve the field employees. Okay, so this might not be a good thing because this is a n plus one problem, first of all. And the second thing is here you would have, you know, got the employees detail from the different microservice, or it could be a network call that you are trying to make. So the number of department increases, the number of network call will be increased to resolve this field employees. Okay, so there is a different way or the another way to resolve this thing, and that would be using a batch mapping. Okay, so it is one of the again a GraphQL annotation that you can use. Okay, so this is little different. How you gonna return the employees for those department is, let's see, we have to have the mono of map, the department, and the collection of employee. Make sure the return type should be this one only. It should be of type mono on map. The map should be wrapped inside a mono, and the map should be of type department and collection of employees. Okay, so here we'll get the list of departments. We'll not get single department, we'll get the list of departments. So this is a change here in the argument. Here we will get the list of departments. Here we will getting a single department. That's why this method was invoked 6 times, but this method will be invoked only once because we will get all the department at once. Okay, in the argument. So I'll just comment this one. We'll just focus on this now. So we just have to return the corresponding employees which is present in the department. Okay, departments. Let's add it in a from iterable, and let's use the flat map. Here we will receive the department object, and I will use this to fetch the employees, get all employees, and department dot get id. Now let's use this collect multi-map, which will return the map of department and employee. Okay, employee. So we will get one employee. We have to map that employee with the correct department. So that's what we will do. Dot stream. If you're not aware about this methods collect multi-map, so please look into the documentation and get familiar with that. Okay, it is one of the very useful annotations. Okay, it should be departments here, and this should be department. We'll get the single department over here. Okay, so we'll get department dot get ID here, and which we will just check with the employees department ID. Okay, so hang on for a second. Okay, so it should be equals employee dot get department ID. So dot find first, Okay, we will just find the correct department. Okay, find first dot for that particular employee, and we will return that. Okay, so this is the batch mapping. So in the batch mapping, you'll get a list of department in the arguments that you can use it, and to find all the correct employees for that particular department. Now quickly, let's quickly run this application and test this new batch mapping thing. And then we are only left with the subscription thing. So let's finish that. Okay, but no, I will also explain you about the interceptor. Let's implement the interceptor and the client as well. Okay, so the client means we are, doing the or calling the mutations and query from this GraphQL. Let's call it with the real client. Okay, we'll also do that stuff here in this video as well. So let me quickly test this stuff first. Mutation, let me add the employee quickly in the department 1. Okay, that has been added. So let me add one more employee Sarang in the department, let's say 5th. I will add these one more employee in the same department 5th. I'll add one more employee in the department 2nd. Okay, I've added so many employees. Now let's check the employees which are associated with the particular departments. Okay, so I've added one employee in the software department, added one in the mechanical, added two in the electronics. So as you can see now, the employees are getting correctly mapped with their departments. Okay, and there is only one invocation of this method. In the schema mapping, there were multiple invocations, which is equivalent to the number of departments. So here there will be only one invocation. Okay, now let's quickly write the subscription mapping. So subscription mapping is like getting multiple or getting so many records in a real time. Okay, whenever the data is available, we will just uh, in the real time we'll just pass it to the client. So for that, I will quickly show you one demo by writing this implementation. So we'll return all the employees. Okay, find all. Okay, and we will delay it for 2 or 3 seconds so that we can see that the data is getting changed with every 3 seconds, or data is applied in a real time. As you can see in the schema, I have written one subscription type all employee. Okay, so let's start the okay. Before starting the application, I will also write one interceptor which will whenever there is a request to our application, that interceptor uh, will just get invoked, and we can do a lot of stuff in the interceptor. We can write we can do authentication authorization in that. Okay, so just write server interceptor. So this is a so let's write a GraphQL server interceptor. Okay, the interceptor. Okay, for interceptor we need to extend or sorry, we need to implement uh, web graph QL interceptor, and we have to override one method, that is intercept. Okay, whenever you're passing any or requesting for any data, that data will first intercepted in this GraphQL server interceptor. Okay, so let's return the chain dot next, and we'll pass the request. So what we'll do is we'll simply log the request that is coming in. So we'll write slf4j and log dot info. We'll just write interceptor logs. So in the request, we will get the document or the request structure that we will log it here. Okay. So this was the one of the graphs. So I've made it very simple. I've just logging it. You can do a lot of stuff here, authentication, authorization, and a lot of things before the actual request goes to your controller. Okay, you can do a lot of things over here in the interceptor. Okay, now let's test the subscription and interceptor together. Okay, we'll no longer need this schema mapping. Just remove that. Okay, I have written everything in a single class just to, save time, but the video has been long. Okay, but anyways, just try to keep it short. Let's see now. Let's wait for the application to start. Okay, so one thing I just missed, when you're doing a subscription mapping, you just have to add the endpoint for the WebSocket. So the subscription works in a uh, in a WebSocket because it continuously gives you the data. So I have to enable the GraphQL WebSocket and add the path as a slash GraphQL. Okay, you can give any path. So I've given the same path which is used for the HTTP post or HTTP uh, server. Okay. So one more thing I want to add it here. So we are using a controller. Okay. So this is a HTTP GraphQL server that we have built. Okay. You can build the WebSocket GraphQL server. You can build the RSocket GraphQL servers. Okay. And do the same stuff that we have done. Okay. This stuff will remain same. The only thing is the transport layer. Now the transport layer is HTTP. The transport layer can be changed. You can use a WebSocket, you can use RSocket, anything you want. Okay, let's quickly refresh the graphical UI and let's quickly add one or two users. I'll add one user, Kumar. I'll add myself, Sarang. I'll add dev problems. Okay. I've added three users. Now let's stream that data in the GraphQL UI using subscription. Okay, all employees. So here I need the name of the employee ID and salary and department ID. So you would see the data is coming in a real time. Okay, it will come in a duration of 3 seconds. So see now we have a user employee with Kumar. Now it has been changed to Sarang. Now it will change to dev problems in every 3 seconds. So that now we have seen the implementation of subscription mapping. So this is the logs of interceptor. Okay, what interceptor is doing is it is intercepting the call and it is has logged the document, the document that we are passing here. So it has logged this entire document, okay, into the console. Okay, so I just wanted to show here that you can do these things in a intersector as well, logging the request and all. Okay, so now this is fine. Okay, so till now what we are doing is we are sending a request from the GraphQL. Now let's create a proper client, and a client will not create a client server here. I'll not create a different application for a client. We have built a GraphQL server here, so we'll not create another project for GraphQL client. So what I'm gonna do is here I'm gonna create a HTTP GraphQL bean here. Okay, so just give me a second. I'll just create a bean for HTTP GraphQL client. Okay, so let's create this. So since our server is HTTP GraphQL, so the client should also be HTTP GraphQL client. Okay, so I will create that bean. Bean should be giving HTTP graph. Okay, GraphQL client. It will accept no parameters and will return the sorry, let's return the object of this. Let's build it. I have to pass the URL of our server. So our server is running on 8080. So I will give that port, and it is listening to a GraphQL endpoint. So as you can see, maybe if this available, I'll show here. Our application is exposing two transport layer. One is HTTP GraphQL slash GraphQL, and another one is a WebSocket. Okay, so we will, for now we have created a HTTP GraphQL client. Okay, you can create a WebSocket client as well if you are developing a GraphQL server in a WebSocket transport layer. Okay, now let's create a get mapping. So in this server itself, I will uh, create a logic for getting information. Okay, so I'll just write a get mapping here. So I will get the employee by name. So I'll show you employee by name var document. So I will send the request detail here and then return. Uh, okay, I just have to auto wire the HTTP uh, final HTTP GraphQL client. Okay, and add it in a constructor parameters. Okay, this has been added here. So let's write HTTP document and retrieve the employee by name and to entity list employee dot class. Okay, we need to pass on the document here. So if you remember, for employee by name, we created a this document, right? This type of request. So the GraphQL uh, client will request for employee by name. Okay, so what will happen is, hang on, so there is an error here. I have to remove this. So what will happen is, I will call the get mapping here. Okay, so I will write the same name. Okay, so what will happen? I will invoke this REST call. Okay, sorry, I will call this REST API with the employee by name. Okay, so what this will do is it will call the GraphQL server, which is nothing but this project. This is a GraphQL server. Okay, it will call this and try to get the employee by the name dev problems and give us in the response. Okay, so this is the REST API. So this I'm doing for just a demo purpose. You can create a different application and you can write this thing. Okay, since I've used a get mapping, I just have to annotate with the REST controller. Okay, now don't think that previously it was controller, now I'm changing to REST controller. That means the GraphQL queries and mutation will not work. It's not like that. It will work in any transport layer. It can work in REST, can work in WebSocket, RSocket, as I mentioned. Okay, now let's start the server. Okay, so I've written the client is only will only call the employee by name. You can write it for all these query mutations, but for time being I've just written for one to showcase you that you can create uh, how you can create a HTTP GraphQL client. Okay, okay, the application is been started. So for to get the employee by name, first we have to add the employees. So I will add just one employee, dev problems. So that's what it's there here. It's same name, I think. Yeah, dev problems. Okay. So now let's invoke this one, generate a HTTP for this, and I will execute this one. It should give me a dev problems in the request. Yeah, it has given me a dev problems. Okay, and the response here you can see here HTTP request. This is the response. Since I have not asked for the department ID, so it's null. So as you can see in the request, so this is the request. Here I've only asked for ID, name, and salary. That's the reason it has not given us the department ID. I hope this was a good session or good project that you can start off with to learn about Spring for GraphQL. Okay, and if you like this project and the video, please hit a subscribe button and subscribe to the channel, and obviously like the video as well. Okay, I think this is enough. I have covered all the basic and important and annotations of GraphQL, mutation mapping, query mapping, and subscription mapping. Also given you a brief about what is interceptor and how you can create a interceptor for your GraphQL server by implementing the web GraphQL interceptor, and how you can create the GraphQL client. Okay, this should be in a different project, but I have just added in the same to just for showing you the demo. Okay, that's all, and thank you for seeing the video. So see you in the next video. Thank you so much.